So today we have a guest, Kendra Rickerby. She is the interim head of the school at the Black River Independent School. She's going to tell us hopefully what it's like during the COVID part of the year. Hopefully this will end before the end of the school year, who knows, but how they're dealing with that, their triumphs, their challenges, as well as answer questions towards the end. Open format. So Kendra, however you wish to approach the speaking portion, have at it. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation to be here. I appreciate it. I will start by saying a little bit about myself. I'm almost one more carload finished with the move to Ludlow to relocate here for this position. I'm moving from Waterbury, Vermont. I've been a career educator in Vermont schools for over 20 years now. I came to Vermont for undergraduate at the University of Vermont and stuck around. Really feel fortunate to be living here and to be moving to Ludlow. And Black River Independent School, I think most of you know the backstory on how it came to be. So I'll just dive in and the triumph is we're open. September 8th, we introduced 16 students who each day I like to refer to as trailblazers because they and their families have really opened their minds to of leading a different culture of learning. And I say different, having worked in public schools for over 20 years. First 14 years of my career was as a high school English teacher. And what's most notable for me in this community of 16 students is the flexibility, and that will guide us through and out of COVID, I wholeheartedly believe. What I mean by flexibility is we have an integrated curriculum where, like this morning, had a 90-minute workshop. Sometimes conversations will carry on and it will go 2 hours and we don't have to interrupt that flow of thinking. But the workshop was on the resiliency of the brain, the effects substance abuse could have on brain development. But with that then also came some conversations on policies and school design. And one of our community expectations is always be positive. And so we spoke about that psychology of resiliency. And I appreciate not having that bell schedule and the industrial model of we go from math to science to social studies to English, because it really does allow for the interconnectedness of learning. We, I think, are sharing the challenges of everybody in the globe right now with COVID and the importance of mask wearing and washing hands. We've been open Monday through Friday for these 16 kids. Due to our size, we can be open full time to help meet and be responsive to families' working needs. The doors are open at 7:30. Learning starts around 8:30 and learning ends at 3 p.m. And I'm phrasing it that way because not all the time is teacher driven. But there's always learning happening from 8:30 to 3. And I like to give that cushion in the morning, depending on what time parents have to get to work. The challenge, another challenge is just adjusting to having the autonomy to be self-directed and developing the work ethic and the self-discipline in myself and students. I, prior to this position, was working for myself as a consultant on becoming helping school districts become personalized and proficiency based. So I feel a little bit more ready, and I'm confident that this environment's helping kids prepare for the workforce of the future, where they may be home and not going to an office as often and really need to dial in on self-management. Right, the challenges really pertain to COVID. from a culture standpoint, I feel that's our triumph, is that we're open. We have phone calls coming in. People are interested and want to learn more. One of the features that distinguishes us is the outdoor adventure. We did have a 2-day field trip where kids were introduced to water safety and rock climbing, which pushed their limits in ways that many weren't exposed to prior. We also, I think I mentioned this, are in a pilot year, which means this year we are 100% philanthropically funded. So one of the challenges, but a healthy challenge, is our application to function for year 2. And that's a big part of my job as interim head of school. I'm also lead faculty. So when I wear the interim head of school hat, I'm thinking through that policy so that Ludlow can have a middle and high school that is in walking distance of students' home and parents, and in commuting distance of parents' workplace. I'm not sure, being in the middle of a school day, I feel like I may have some gaps in what I just explained. So would it be okay to just open it up to questions and dialogue?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I do my best to flag hands in the air, but I can't see everyone on my screen. I saw Scott raise his. So go ahead, Scott. There you go.
Hey, Kendra, how you doing today?
Oh, hey, Scott. How are you?
Good. So I've worked with Kendra a lot during this school year, and one of the things I think everybody would like to know and hear about is the process of becoming certified with the state Board of Education, and where you guys are in that lineup, and the timing of that as far as next year goes.
Yeah, thank you. It's a great question. The process, we have a meeting with the AOE scheduled for December. I had 2 years working for the AOE back when Act 77 Flexible Pathways was initially passed. And so in implementing our operations with curriculum mapping and the software system for delivering that curriculum, being very diligent in making sure everything we do aligns with Act 77 Flexible Pathways and the education quality standards. So we're functioning according to the state's policy, that mandate. We have an informational meeting just to sort of let's recalibrate in December, scheduled the first Friday of December. All the information that was provided to the school committee prior to my hiring was presented also prior to COVID. A sidebar to my resume is I have a degree in education finance, and I recognize in our process this year that education finance has been disrupted by COVID, and there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of changes. So we want to be the model for being cost efficient and streamlining practices going forward. So Scott, the specific answer is the process as we knew it was communicated before COVID. I am looking to leverage the opportunity COVID brings to us to rethink and present a different pathway forward for rural communities in Vermont and anywhere. So we're starting with an informational meeting in December so that I can dialogue about that with some former colleagues, and then we will plan accordingly. Prior to COVID, the timeframe of 6 months to get approval for the certification for next year to have the tax dollars follow, 6 months was the timeframe. What I'm learning and what I'm hearing nationally around education finance is we might be able to expedite that. Did that answer all parts of your questions? Okay.
Anyone else have a question?
Kevin, if I could add, I neglected to mention this. We also have, Scott, this is an update for you, a formalized partnership with Black River Innovation Campus, which is in Springfield. And that partnership with BRIC provides the independent school with access to their digital library and support and resources for future programmatic opportunities. BRIC has access to a tremendous amount of digital technology and fiber optics and computer programming expertise that puts the independent school as a front runner in creating those career pathways for the jobs of the future.
Very nice. Paul, did you have a question?
I
There you
did,
go.
thanks. I just had a question as to whether you need any help that an individual can give to you with admin or sports or tutoring or anything like that.
Yes, please, and thank you. We are working right now on a model where I am lead faculty and head of school, and those who are working with us are either paid hourly or volunteering. And I'm really open to the conversation about what community members or interested parties see as their strengths, and we can build out meeting our needs from those strengths. For instance, we have a Dartmouth College medical researcher who's helping us with math instruction. We, on an hourly basis, have hired an actress from the Weston Playhouse who was relying on Broadway. She's been in 4 productions down on Broadway, New York City, has a home up here, and now with COVID, her industry is dried up for the time being.
Yeah.
So she works with us on voice lessons and improv skit writing and effective and clear communication, be it just spoken word or singing. And so those niche specialties, that's actually some of the grant writing work that I hope to do this winter, is taking those opportunities for photographers who might have been planning on the wedding industry. Can we hire them in the spirit of an adjunct professor and help with putting individuals, helping people through this extended economic crisis COVID's brought to everywhere. So to answer your question, it's really what interests the person. Math and science is something I would love to do more of. Also, though, we will be introducing through, it's a free curriculum through EverFi, a financial literacy curriculum that every student will have to navigate. So if someone is open to coming and talking about mortgage rates and how they change and how much debt, just those fundamental financial literacy pieces that I feel like all schools could do more of, would be an area that we would welcome some expertise.
Any other hands? I have a quick one. What is your pupil count currently? What's your goals for the next couple years? And how are you finding students? How are you getting families interested to become part of your family?
Thank you. Currently, we have 17 students enrolled in the fully philanthropic budget, and that's our cap until we can generate more income. We are able at this time to accept students at a tuition rate. So one of the things I'm being mindful as we build out the learning management system and some a la carte opportunities for students to come and take workshops are the number of families that are relocating to this area for winter sports. So that's a part of the discussions we're having now. Nothing's been printed or published, but again, it's really looking at where are the opportunities that COVID presents and how can we leverage that for the betterment of Ludlow and the Okemo Valley. So from that, the recruiting is right now word of mouth. Back to Scott's question about next year, we welcome letters of intent from families who would like their children to attend here in 2021, 22, which I can't believe I'm saying. So that word of mouth piece is been key to seeing who would come next year. That will strengthen, having those letters of intent will strengthen our application with the state. The tuition dollars, we are in the process of developing a marketing and recruiting plan, some of which relates to what are the programs that will be made available through our partnership with Black River Innovation Campus. Initially, prior to COVID, the school committee here had hopes of 75 students enrolled, and I think that is our goal. All of that is, much of that, I should say, not all, much of it will be driven by a successful certification with the AOE and tax dollars.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions? Scrolling through, looking for hands. Sharon, go ahead.
I just have a question about a typical day. So are a lot of the students like on their own plan of work? So they're working independently? Maybe if you have a speaker, they're all listening to that same speaker, but you have different age groups, different grade levels. How does that seem to work?
Great question. Typically, we start the morning off with a morning meeting and current events, lots of history to be taught these past few weeks. And that is what I'm certified in, English and social studies. So when we're doing the social studies, the global citizenship work, it's all ages. It's a Socratic seminar, college-like setting where we're in a dialogue, small groups, different videos. Then the different specialists come. We have an individual who she comes in to teach French and Spanish. So that's Wednesdays and Fridays, and the math specialist comes in on Monday and Thursdays, and then other days we pepper it with the different guest speakers. And in the afternoon, we do more project-based, individualized interest. We will be introducing Empower Learning, which is a computer software that's designed for competency-based education and supporting that individualized learning. In that, there'll be some things that are required of all students, regardless of grade. For example, the financial literacy. We'll have that every year. So I just think it's so fundamental. But that's where we get to tailor the instruction and say, okay, focus on geometry. You finish geometry in a month, you're ready for trigonometry. That program is used across the country. The only other school district right now in Vermont who's introducing it is Winooski Schools up in Chittenden County. So Empower Learning is designed to enable that flexibility so that students can self-pace, but also stay the course with rigor. You know, that the self-pace means that they're being challenged to meet their skills and needs. So I think one of the challenges in the beginning we had was with the internet, and so we're about a month in my mind. It would have been nice to have Empower fully introduced a month ago. Such is life. We're doing well. Kids are coming to school, singing, laughing. I feel like for me in today's world, that's a barometer of a daily day. We hear laughter and see smiles at least 2 or 3 times.
Scott, did you have a question? I saw your hand come up.
Yeah, Kendra, the school district just announced that they're closing until January 11th, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys planning on something like that, or are you going to stay open like after New Year's, like typically?
Yeah, I think I got all parts of your question. If I didn't, let me know. And my plan right now, and it's, you know, myself and 17 students and volunteers, is my plan right now is to meet with each family. Those, you know, everyone has a different situation. Some have younger kids in the school who'll be home full time, and we will adjust according to the family's needs. You know, part of what we're aiming to do here at the independent school, and especially why we've chosen Empower Learning, is to create a culture where school never closes, where learning never stops. And so we will have to get creative and do more outdoor adventure, and not necessarily be in the brick and mortar structure Monday through Friday, but we have families who depend on, you know, there's consequences of having the kids home full time unsupervised. So until further notice, Scott, my answer is I need to meet with parents, hear from them about what they need. If it's best for their child to be home full time, in sync with the school district, then I can accommodate that with the flexibility of this learning management software. But if the parents' jobs doesn't allow for that, then I'm committed to being accessible Monday through Friday. And I'm very aware that staying healthy is a key piece to that. My own health, I mean. So that's another about where do we need help. The more adults and volunteers we can have breaking up the day and having kids, like if we can get outside and have a snowshoe that is a little bit of the history of the area or some earth science, that's how I hope to get creative for those months. And just really the goal is to be responsive.
All right, I see. Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm in Springfield. So
Oh,
what age groups or what grades do you teach at your school?
we are 7th through 12th grade. I think we have 9 7th and 8th graders and 8 9th through 12th graders. We have 1 12th grader, so most are 10th and 11th.
Yeah. Do parents talk to you about, you know, starting a new school and how you can support them as they look for colleges?
Absolutely. We have a senior who's in the college admissions process right now. I, having taught high school for 14 years, and at that point was an English teacher, so I have just experience with the application process and college essay. We do need, going forward as we grow, we will need to develop a more intentional college and career planning support services. But right now, to support that student who's applying to college, I'm just tapping my own professional network and using my knowledge. I also have taught at Southern New Hampshire University, so I'm familiar with their expectations for admissions, and I'm using that to help her. But once we grow, when we get more students, that would be a department we want to, as I said, be more intentional.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, go ahead.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
How do I want? What is there a path to kind of get approval in the second year by the State Board of Ed?
A specific answer to that I will have after this first meeting in December that we're having with the Independent Schools Coordinator. As I understand it, and prior to COVID, during COVID, there will need to be a meeting with the State Board of Ed, but we have some preliminary things we have to have in place before any of us would feel ready for that. Part of the readiness for that is coming up with these partnerships and showing that we have a network to sustain the independent school. So the answer is really, it's to be determined, but I would expect yes.
Thank you.
So I have another one, don't mean to monopolize here, but I know a lot of public schools, they're struggling with costs and budgets and things, and usually the first things they cut are sports and the arts. And how are you dealing with those two categories with your independent school?
Right now with the arts, as I explained with the example of Susan working with us from the Weston Playhouse and her experience on Broadway, we're weaving the arts into the humanities curriculum. So, the plays that she's doing, she and I will meet actually tomorrow. As you know, many kids are very interested in Hamilton. It's a Broadway, a hugely successful Broadway show that the students are naturally performing. So the approach, and this is why I have studied and really believe in Vermont's vision for flexible pathways, is it doesn't have to be an either or, that with the arts, there is effective and clear and effective communication, and we're weaving it in and providing credit to the humanities. From my personal studies in ed finance and my doctorate degree, that brings a cost effectiveness, right? That you're using the art professional, and then we do also have a writing specialist. She's a retired middle school teacher who's grading those culminating performances. The piece about the athletics, Kevin, right now, we don't have anything formalized. I do intend to reach out to some former colleagues who are at the VPA to get the agreements. We have families who have elected to have their children playing sports in neighboring towns and are doing that on their own accord. For physical education, we're looking at the outdoor adventure, the winter sports. And it's in the same spirit of integrating the performing arts and blending it with social studies and ELA curriculum, that our outdoor adventure is the physical education opportunity. So it saves us time during the day. But of course, like today's so gorgeous, we will take a walk and get outside, and we have the flexibility to take advantage of that. The athletic piece is evolving. There's much more to do with that avenue, particularly for some of these kids who thrive in the team setting.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, am I off mute? Yeah, I was just wondering if you have a kind of a path like this. It seems to me like a lot of families are moving to town. Maybe I'm wrong in that. I'm certainly,
No, I don't think you are.
And I just wondered if if you were exploring ways, I assume so, but ways to tap that through marketing or some channel. So.
Absolutely. One of the opportunities that's been floated, and all of this is still in the brainstorm stage, but one of the things that really excites me with the BRIC partnership is they have a lot of computer programming and how you code to build the video games. And so one possibility could be to have camps, a workshop around President's Week or 2 weeks here and there. So, and families just pay straight up once, a la carte for that workshop. And that would be a recruiting and marketing moment. Come in, feel the culture of the school, its positivity, and stay. The other piece I'm watching is, and if anyone has more data that could tell me who's moved here, who have 7th through 12th graders from areas. I don't know how you would really pinpoint this, but just anecdotally, I'm hearing of families who are here full time from suburbs that are now fully remote and may be interested in the socialization of, let's go for a snowshoe. Meet us at 1 to 4 o'clock, and there'll be a nature writing activities or 3 credits in nature writing around that. that's part of the curriculum planning that we're working on. That is something Empower Learning, which is why I recommended we purchase that, makes doable. But Mark, the actual piece of who's here and from where and what's happening in their schools elsewhere, I would welcome more data and information. Once we do publish, right now, our tuition rate is much lower than many private schools. We aim to keep that at 15 grand a year. And once we agree on that, we will use that in our favor as well to open up opportunities, particularly to those who are grappling with the fully remote issues that COVID seems to continue to bring.
Okay. I don't see any other hands. You have any closing remarks for us, Kendra?
Thank you for your support. We welcome volunteers. I can be reached at kendra@blackriveris.org. My cell phone's 802-238-5760. And my closing remarks would be, please be in touch, because this is as much about student learning as it is about strengthening the community here in Ludlow. So any ideas you have, I welcome.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming by. It was a pleasure having you, and glad we all got to get a little peek on the independent school and what it's all about.
Excellent. Look forward to meeting you again. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
You too. Bye-bye.